I bring you another What If, this time focusing on what if Zarbon and Vegeta teamed up. To set the stage, the divergence occurs when Vegeta reveals the Saiyan trait to Zarbon. Rather than charging in to his doom in denial, Zarbon instead considers the situation, knowing he's at a disadvantage and that the alternative is return to Freeza and face execution, with him telling Vegeta all this and requesting an alliance. Vegeta decides to go along with this when knowing that he holds the edge if Zarbon tries to turn on him, and he can at least use Zarbon as a distraction to Freeza in his plans, with him sparing Kuririn and Bulma as usual, and Zarbon acknowledging they can at least prove a distraction to Freeza if kept alive. Things then progress as normal until Goku arrives, beyond Zarbon being the one to kill Gurdok due to hating his ugliness, with even his aid not being enough to take down Recoome. Goku divides the senzu he'd give to Vegeta for Zarbon to have some. Zarbon would aid in stopping Goku Ginyu, though wouldn't turn the tide when considering someone equal to his regular self not worth transforming against, and Vegeta intervening. Zarbon would go along with helping Gohan and Kuririn get their wishes when not wanting to deal with an immortal Vegeta, though wouldn't have a chance to gain eternal beauty or immortality, being completely outclassed in power by everyone but Dende at this point. He plays no role in the battle against Freeza, beyond having his life taken either as soon as Freeza transforms or immediately after Frieza's true form gets rid of Dende. It may seem as though Zarbon has little impact on the story, though that's just for Namek. After the battle on Namek, a revived Zarbon informs those around him that they should be wary of Cold Dior coming after them with Frieza now gone. This causes everyone aside from Gohan to perform Shugyo just as intense as they normally would the following year, with Vegeta requesting the building of the updated gravity chamber far earlier. Zarbon himself would become far stronger, surpassing Yamcha and Tenshinhan by the time of Frieza and Cold's arrival. His future timeline self actually manages to survive far into the future, when having little reason to stay on Earth afterwards, though we'll get to the path his present self will also follow once the threat of the Jinzo Ningen are dealt with. Knowing the only way he can get much stronger is from training with Saiyans, Zarbon joins Goku, Gohan, and Piccolo. Though lagging behind Piccolo, Zarbon is able to progress greatly to the extent of rivaling Cold's power by the time of the battle with 19 and 20. Of course, this means his role in the Cell Arc battles is quickly made irrelevant, but he plays a more important role when Bulma builds the remote. Being faster than Kuririn, and having more reason to be at Capsule Corporation than Kame House, Zarbon takes the remote, shuts down and destroys 18 before Cell can absorb her, with Trunks swiftly putting an end to Cell's ambitions after that. Once the Dragon Balls are rejuvenated, Kuririn requests 17 and 18 be revived, with him wishing for their bombs to be removed the next year. With that, the Cell arc ends abruptly, and Zarbon decides to head into space when known there are remnants of Frieza's army that could be acting unruly. He quickly retakes the throne of his home planet and unites the Frieza army once more, though tells them the strength of those on Earth make their previous ambitions pointless, and he instead brokers an alliance with the Galactic Patrol to aid them in preventing crime and chaos in the universe, with the condition that worlds already under his army's control remain part of his empire to govern. He also releases Cranberry from imprisonment as an apology for having slain him on Namek, but with that acting as a warning if the soldier acts out again. For the moment, at least, Zarbon would be content with his life. Meanwhile, the gap that had formed between Goku and Vegeta would have the latter train as intensely as normal, but without as much clarity on his compassion for his family, without having witnessed Trunks' death against Cell. As such, Vegeta starts putting his timeline's Trunks under a strict regimen 2 years before the Buu arc, with his experiences having him believe 5 is an appropriate age for Saiyan royalty to be prepared to uphold their honour. Becoming far more familiar with his son's strength, He quickly finds a good sparring partner in Trunks, with Vegeta surpassing Goku, who wouldn't become as strong as normal without the otherworld Shugyo. As such, Vegeta doesn't need Babidi's help, and Vegeta starting to gradually appreciate his family through bonding with Trunks. Goku, Vegeta, and eventually Trunks would attain Super Saiyan 2 though, when feeling there was still something beyond their current limits, and either Goku or Vegeta takes care of Dabra instead of Gohan fighting him. Or, considering Gohan wouldn't have much initiative to fight in this timeline, maybe Trunks would do the deed, with the Boo threat being over before it begins. Moving on to Super, Beerus still gets curious enough about Super Saiyan God to request Vegeta and co do what they can to bring it about after getting his pudding, with Vegeta being deemed the best candidate due to having surpassed Goku for a while now. He is quickly beaten, and after everyone's ready to do the ritual again, Goku attains the form with no real change. However, Beerus takes enough of an interest to have Whis tutor them as normal. For the Universe 6 tournament, Trunks takes Boo's place, and even though far stronger than his main timeline self, he would still be eliminated by Frost. And the tournament goes the exact same as normal after that. Future Trunks, having only gone into the room with Spirit and Time once, has major changes for his role. This stunts his progress by enough that he has yet to master using the Zetor sword, and even his Super Saiyan 2 transformation isn't strong enough to overcome Dabra, with Boo eventually being revived, though Beerus is still alive with Trunks having not brought the Zetor sword to the battle. Considering the flaw of giving the lifelink to an inexperienced and weak Kaioshin, makes it more likely Beerus would die if all the Kaioshin have, rather than just Shin. As such, Black and Zamasu choose to go to another timeline, though are ultimately erased by the Daishinkan or Zenor, as there's only so long their time range shenanigans could go on for before those of one or several timelines catch on. The Tournament of Power still occurs, with Zarbon taking Freeza's spot, knowing how useless he'd be against those even stronger than Goku though, even after he's done his best to become as strong as possible. Zarbon remembers the power-up Gohan had gained on Namek, and what he was told of it, requesting to be taken to New Namek and use the Dragon Balls to unlock any latent power he still has, if Muri was incapable of doing so. Having not broken through as many plateaus as Piccolo had by Superhero, he isn't getting such a crazy increase, but still becomes strong enough to be about equal to the Super Saiyans in this tournament. Piccolo then gets the idea to do the same, though not unlocking as much when far weaker than his superhero self. It still makes him stronger than at the end of the Morrow arc, where he seemed to be on par with Gohan. Trunks also takes Gohan's place when far more experienced than his main timeline self, and Gohan having never gone through the experiences with Cell or Rodai Kaioshin's ritual, for Piccolo to consider his fighting instincts to be as valuable. Zarbon prevents Frost from targeting the Earthlings, and takes joy in getting as close to defeating Freeza as he can, with Piccolo's newfound power allowing him to greatly assist his team against the stronger opponents, and not be in the position for Damon to knock him out, eventually defeating Kefla, and going on to fight Jiren. Before that, Trunks does his best to help out, but lagging slightly behind his father in equal forms, he gets knocked out by the time Kefla appears. It's when almost defeated by Jiren that the additional part of Piccolo's unlocking occurs, with him gaining the Orange Piccolo state and managing to push Jiren to his limits. Whether yet capable of defeating Jiren or just enough to soften him up for the rest of the team, Universe 7 win, with Piccolo being their MVP. With Zarbon having no need to scout out Vampire, the events with Broly don't occur. Boo still being around with Dai Kaioshin's God Key means Morrow's magic still remains sealed, and the Heaters would be dealt with by Zarbon as untrustworthy criminals, long before Granola could have any thoughts of escaping their rule with his wish, and would have no issue with Zarbon to still go about it. The events of Superhero still occur, with Piccolo instead defeating Gamma 2 in their first encounter, before swiftly making his way to the Red Ribbon base, and quickly putting Gamma 1 out of commission, before stopping Magenta from activating Cell Max. Hedor comes to the realization of Magenta's lies after a lecture from Piccolo, and things become peaceful. Thus, we see the story of what role Zarbon would have played as an ally to the main characters, his experiences on Earth and the limitations it placed on him, having him change the universe for the better, and allow another to rise in Goku's place as Earth's protector. Unless... For how things would instead go in the GT continuity, Zarbon would eventually come in contact with planet M2, and be turned into a machine mutant, quickly using the resources his empire had built to add much more fuel to loot, and help hasten Baby's rebirth as a Neo-Machine mutant. Knowledgeable of Earth and the Dragon Balls, he would request Baby conquer it quickly, with each of the Dragon teams succumbing to the Grand Superization plan, and Baby seeming to achieve a perfect victory in using Earth's Dragon Balls to restore planet Sufru and become immortal. In time though, he would overuse the Dragon Balls and give rise to the evil dragons, who would eventually destroy the universe, with Baby doomed to rule over emptiness. Thank you if viewing all this What If. As usual, comment any ideas you have for your own What If requests in the comments. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss it, and I'll see you in the next video.